first one on there. Good job. Way to be early. Way to be early. You even beat me on here today. Hopefully everybody is doing great today. Hopefully everybody's having a beautiful summery Friday afternoon. It's a little cloudy where I'm at here, so it's not quite so summery feeling, but that's okay. We're going to do some summery nails and make it feel a little bit brighter and shinier today. So welcome in everybody. Let's see, who else is here? Kim and Z, looks like you're the second. Good morning from New Zealand. Well, good morning to you as well. How are you in that hopefully tropical weather you're maybe having, I'm guessing? And let's see, Ellie, hello, good, welcome. Who else is with us today? Looks like a few people are already joining us. Who else is here? Life with Raisha. I hope I pronounced that properly. If I didn't, I apologize. But welcome in. We'll give everybody some time to jump in here. Got my nails ready to go. Hopefully you guys are all ready for a beautiful weekend. Let's see, who do we got? Tipsy Diva, Miku and me, Mrs. Nas Big, Mickey Rosa, letter A. Oh, good, I did pronounce that correctly, Raisha. Wonderful. Sue Turner, Janica, Adriana, Caroline. Oh, Caroline DePaula. Haven't seen you on here in a little while, or maybe I just haven't noticed, but welcome. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Hopefully you are having a wonderful day. I think we are in a good spot with the camera here. Let me just readjust really quickly before we get in to our nails. Miku and me, Miku X Me. Love these classes. I'm so glad you love the classes. I am having so much fun teaching you guys. I absolutely love being able to share so much information with you guys. If you haven't already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you can join us for all of this free education. I'm just gonna clean up a couple of things here. I was kind of getting some ideas earlier, so I was playing with some colors. So these are some of the colors that we're gonna be working with today. And, oh, let's see, Tipsy Diva, I did not realize you were watching from Norway. Well, my goodness, you are a ways away. Welcome, welcome. Okay, let me just clean up my tile here, and then we will get started. What'd you guys think of my nails that I did yesterday? Did you guys enjoy those? I had to stop and kind of think, what did I do yesterday? Because I didn't have a little nail on my trainer hand today. So, and I forgot what I had done yesterday, but that's okay. All right, let's see here. Oh, Kim, it's your winter out there. I suppose you're opposite of what we are. Well, I hope you're staying warm then, Kim. Stay warm out there. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and get started on our nails. So today I'm going to be doing an acrylic nail, but we're going to be throwing in some of our cream clays. So let me show you the colors of the cream clays that I'm using. You saw on my little tile over there, but we've got a whole bunch of different colors that we're going to be using. Let's see, this one is About a Spark. Kind of that really pretty orangey kind of tone to it. We've got Donut Face. I love the name of this one, Donut Face. And I think I like this one probably, I would say probably, well, I don't know. You guys all know my pinks, purples, and teals. I don't know. I love them. So we've got that one, kind of that pinkish. And then our blue is Short King. Got that beautiful blue. And again, you guys, the ones that I'm using today all have that shimmer to them. So you'll see on the label it says shimmer. It's got a little bit of that sparkle to it. And that's kind of that light teal color. Love that one. Maria, I am not a beautician. I am a nail tech. I don't do hair. I just do nails. So trust me, you don't want me doing hair. I'll stick to nails. But I am a licensed nail tech. I've been doing nails for a long, long time. And probably longer than I think I have, but it's been a while. So I'm happy to be here teaching you guys and sharing all the information with you that I can. Mohammed, yes, this is a live stream. Currently, if you are watching the playback of it, it is recorded, but right now, as we speak on this Friday afternoon, it is a live stream. So those are the cream clays that I'm going to be using today. We're also going to be using acrylic today. But let's get into our nail. Let me just start by prepping. And just like we always do, we start by pushing back those cuticles, get that cleaned up. And you guys, I know I tell you this all the time, but when you're working on your trainer hand, make sure that you are still going through and you're doing that process of pushing back the cuticles. That way you stay in the habit of doing that. So when you do actually work on a real client, you're not going to forget that step. So whatever you do in practice on your trainer hand, that's what you're going to be more used to doing on a real person. So stay in that habit, stay in that routine. Okay, let me just readjust there. There we go. And I've got my e-file here. I've got a medium sanding band on there. And I'm going to turn my speed to about 5,000 RPMs. And I'm going to work in kind of a circular motion. I'm kind of working counterclockwise through the nail. And we're going to work starting up around the cuticle area. Just kind of small circles right up around that cuticle area. I don't have to try to go all in one long stroke, okay? I'm not trying to go all the way around like that. Just kind of do short little bits all the way around. That way you get all the way, let me come in a little bit here. You get all the way from that side over here, all the way up and around to the other side. Sometimes I think if people try to go all in one motion, they miss areas, okay? So do just those little short even strokes all the way through. And then once you get to that opposite corner over here, we're going to work kind of diagonally, okay? I'm not going to come across the nail in this direction. I'm going to position my bit diagonal from the top left corner to the bottom right. And I'm going to work in kind of a feathering motion. So I'm going to just kind of feather that bit all the way through the nail, just lightly removing the shine. Okay, so just coming through all the way through that nail. And then just making sure that I've got all of those shiny areas cleaned up. Okay, if I need to come up around that cuticle again, I can do that. I can also come down the side, so using more of the top part of my bit right up here. I can pull straight forward if I miss that edge over here, or if I miss the edge over on this side, I can use the base of my bit and pull that forward to just get those last little bits cleaned up, okay? All right, so we've got our prep, super easy. All we're gonna do now is go through, dust off that nail, clean all of that dust off of there. And you guys, I always like to show this that I'm dusting in the direction of nail growth. I'm not brushing across. Brushing across is just going to push that dust down into those sidewalls. So make sure that you're pulling the dust down the length of that nail. Okay, that's going to clean everything out from that cuticle area up here. It's going to clean all of the dust out of those sidewalls. Latina's asking what RPMs was I using? With this bit, with my sanding band, I use about 5,000 RPMs. So it's a nice low speed. I'm just making contact. I'm not putting a lot of pressure. I'm just basically making contact and pulling, or kind of doing, again, that feathering. But keep that RPMs low, right around 5,000 RPMs. Okay. After we get all of that dust cleaned off, we're going to come in with our swipe. Swipe is our cleanser, and you can either use one of the lint-free wipes, so you can grab one of those and either pump a little bit of that swipe onto your lint-free wipe, come in, scrub the nail like that, or what I usually like to do instead is use my brush and put a little bit of that swipe on my brush, and then I can go in and I can clean the nail this way. The reason that I like to use the brush rather than the lint-free wipes, a couple of different reasons. First of all, every time I use one of these, that costs me money, okay? When I go and I buy my manicure brushes, I buy in bulk. They're usually less than $1, probably way less than $1. So this is sanitizable and disinfectable, and I can reuse this, okay? This one, I can't reuse. This one I have to throw away, so this is going to cost me more money in the long run than just using my manicure brush. So that's one of the reasons that I prefer to use the brush rather than the wipe, but it's a personal preference. If you feel more comfortable with the wipe, you can definitely do that. Now, the other thing I want you guys to see is after I've had that little wipe with the swipe on it on my hands, you can see a little bit of that swipe has dried out my skin. Okay, I want to avoid product as much as possible. So if I were doing 8, 10, however many clients a day and getting that swipe on my skin, by the end of the day, my skin is going to be probably really dry. And you guys, obviously you can see I need a fill. We didn't finish all of them yesterday on our live, but I did fill a couple of those. But you can see that throughout the day, my cuticles and my skin does get dry because I'm washing my hands quite often. And that little bit of extra swipe, that little bit of extra dryness can start to wear on my skin. So that's another one of the reasons that I really like to use the brush to cleanse that nail rather than getting any product on my skin. Okay, your choice though, your personal preference, whatever's gonna be easier for you, you can do that. I just like to show you what works for me. And Tammy S., thank you so much. I appreciate your comments. Okay, the next thing we're going to be doing is applying our protein bond. Protein bond is our bonder. It's kind of our anchor, so it's going to work like a double-sided tape. So it's going to stick down to that natural nail, but now you're going to be able to see it's going to leave a sticky surface. Let me come in a little closer. So once we've removed the shine, we come back through with our protein bond to put that sticky surface on there so that our product or our protein bond is going to adhere to our product. Okay, it's going to work kind of like I said, like a double-sided tape or like an anchor. It's going to grab onto whatever product we put over the top of that and really anchor it down well. Now when I'm doing acrylic or hard gel, I do 2 coats of the protein bond just to make sure that I get really good added adhesion. For some of your clients, 1 coat may work, but I'll tell you, I don't want to find out if 2 coats is going to be better, so I always use 2 coats on my clients with acrylics or hard gels. So 2 coats of our protein bond. And I'm going to grab my forms, and today I'm going to be using our XL forms. Now, personal preference, you guys, again, depending on the nails you're doing, you can either use the blue forms. Those are kind of our standard forms. If you're going to be doing any longer nails, I would definitely recommend using the XL forms. But really, even if you're doing shorter nails, you can customize the XL forms for those shorter nails as well. So personal preference on that too. You guys, I teach you a lot of different techniques and you take what works for you, okay? So what I'm telling you and what I'm teaching you is what works for me, but take it for what it's worth, okay? So I'm going to take that little tab out of the center. I'm going to put that on, and we're going to put that upright. You don't have to put it upright, but I always like to put it like that because it looks like a little dancing ghost, and I just have to have fun with that. So stick that little tab on the back, and then I'm going to pinch my tabs together so that I get a nice tight C-curve in my form. So I'm going to pinch these 2 end tabs together. I'm going to leave this one back here more open, okay? But just pinching these 2 on the end together, so that now I get a really nice tight C-curve into my form. I'm going to open up that little top perforation up there, and we're going to get this up underneath the nail, okay? Let me readjust here. So we're going to get that form up underneath the nail, just kind of starting at a slight downward angle, tuck it up underneath that free edge, and then we're going to lift up so that comes right out from that natural nail. Now I'm going to secure this down and we're going to take a look from the side. Okay, so at this point, my form looks like it's angling slightly downward. You can see how that light is reflecting. That's going to show you kind of that downward angle. Now this is exactly what I want at this point because I'm going to shorten up my form. I'm going to pinch that together, and as I pinch my form tighter, it's going to lift up on that end. So you can kind of see as I'm pinching, it's lifting up on that end. So now my form and those lower arches here, that light that's reflecting, that's going to come a little bit more straight out from the nail rather than angling down. Okay, so just a little trick when you're using the XL forms. Start at a slight downward angle if you're going to be pinching that form a little bit tighter at the end. Now I'm going to just snip off the end of this, just using my scissors. Just get rid of that little bit of extra length, because sometimes if I'm doing a shorter nail, it's not really a short nail, but shorter than the XL, I like to take off the end so that I'm not kind of bumping into that end as I'm sculpting my product on there. I'm going to grab a few of our table wipes, and you guys, the table wipes that I've got on my table, it's the same thing as what I have here. I just have these cut into smaller squares so that they're easier for me to use. So that's what I've got there. And just make sure that my form is on nice and straight here. It looked like it was a little bit off-centered, so just want to make sure It's coming nice and straight out from that nail. Okay, I think we are good there. I'm gonna grab my Core White Sparkle. And you guys, I have this in a mixing jar just because I'm not sure why I put it into a mixing jar, but this is our Core White Sparkle acrylic. It does come in the big containers like this, but I just have it in my little mixing jar here like that. So we've got the Core White Sparkle is what we're gonna be using today. I'm also gonna be using our Cover Cherry Blossom. It's not a color that I use all the time, but I think it's gonna be really, really pretty with this design. And then we've also got our Speed Clear. I'm gonna be using that as well. And then we're gonna be using those cream clay colors that I showed you earlier. So all 5 of those cream clay colors, okay? Now, let's get into building out this nail first of all. And then we'll add our fun and our design and all of that. All right, let me come in here. All right, come in here. I'm gonna grab my brush. And today, you guys, I am using Greg's Signature Series brush. This is a size 12. If you noticed, I did have one of our old brush caps on there. I like to keep my brushes covered. So that was one of our old brush caps, if you were wondering what that was. I'm gonna grab my Dappen dish. Let's see if I've got, all right, I did clean that out the last time, but I always like to just check and make sure that my Dappen dish is clean so that there's no product residue, there's no glitter or anything like that in there. So I'm just gonna kind of give that a quick wipe out just to make sure it is all ready to go. Now, you guys, one thing that I want to note, let me kind of see if I've got, okay, so I do have another Dappen dish. I have a Dappen dish that has a little bit of monomer in there from maybe the last time I used it. Here's the thing, you never want to try to reuse that monomer that you've already used previously. The reason for that is, I don't know if you can see on camera. Let me see if I can you see down in there? If you can see, there's a little bit of kind of residue around the base. There's a little bit of glitter down in there. Anytime you use your product, anytime you use that liquid, what can happen is you get a little bit of that acrylic residue in there, or you get glitter down in there, and then that can actually interfere with how you are applying your next pearl, okay? So you always wanna change out your liquid. I know you think it's a big waste to, soak up all of that extra liquid and throw it away, but honestly, in the long run, it's gonna be much easier for you. So always use fresh liquid, always put clean liquid in your Dappen dish so that you're not using that old product. All right, so again, this is our Core White Sparkle. Whoops, our form popped off here as I had my client off to the side, so let's readjust that. And make sure again that that's straight on there. Okay, I think we are good. Let's come on in there. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do something similar to a pink and white ombre, but we're gonna do the white and then we're gonna do some colors along with it, okay? So I'm gonna start with my Core White Sparkle. And let me see if I can get a better angle so you guys can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. There we go. So I'm going to start by picking up a pretty good sized pearl of that Core White Sparkle, and I'm going to just drain that onto my table towel, and we're going to start by building out our free edge. So I'm going to set that right down at the free edge. I'm going to press it out from side to side, and then I'm going to start by pressing that up to kind of connect and meet that natural nail. Again, pressing that product up to the side. I'm going to use the edge of my brush to tuck that in on the edges. I'm going to come back over, bring this edge up, and again, bring that up to that natural nail. And again, just kind of connecting them. Now I'm going to come back through, kind of pressing this out, and I'm going to start to bring that product down towards the end of my form. I'm going to create a little bit of length here. We're going to do a good sized nail today. We're not going to do an XL, but maybe we're going to do I think we're going to do a good long nail today. So again, just bringing that product down to the end of my form. And I think we're going to keep it a little bit more square today. I'm going to taper it in maybe a little bit on the side. So still using the edge of my brush to kind of tuck those edges in, but still keeping it somewhat square. And then I'm just going to press that brush all the way across the top to really keep my product kind of thin and a consistent thickness to the product. Then I'm just going to kind of blend out, brush a little bit more of that product down to the end of the form, and just kind of thin and taper that product down towards the end, down towards the free edge here. Still using the side of my brush to kind of keep that a little bit more tapered. And I think we are looking good. All right. Just gonna kind of, again, keep that free edge surface nice and even. Okay. Now, when you guys are doing an ombre, this is kind of how I start it, and then I'll pick up a little bit more of my white product. Okay, I'm just going to drain out that just a little bit, drop that right down in the center, kind of press it out to the sides, and then I'm going to turn my brush around and blend backwards. So that product just starts to kind of feather out or fade out, but I still have the bulk of that color of that white right through kind of that connection area between my natural nail and that form. So again, this way, it's going to get a really good connection. I've got my product blending out, and then it just kind of fades out. Okay. Now, at this point, if you were going to be doing a traditional ombre and you were going to do pink blended into that white, you could apply your pink product and then continue on. Okay. What we're going to do is we're actually going to incorporate some of those cream clays into our design here. So let me show you the cream clays that we're going to be using. I'm going to actually give this, this extension just a little bit of time to set while I'm showing you guys the cream clays, and I'm going to do that for a reason. I'll explain that in just a little bit. But let me show you the colors that we're going to be using today. And I just threw everything on the floor, but that's okay. All right, so we've got our different colors. So we've got that orange color, kind of an orangey peachy color. We've got our bright pink. Let's see, Amelia's asking, what products are we using? You guys, everything that I'm using here is Young Nails, and the colors that I'm using, these are our cream clay gels. They are a soft gel. They are a thicker consistency, but they are beautiful for artwork. You can use them for full cover colors. They are absolutely beautiful. But I'm also working with our acrylic, and this is our traditional acrylic, okay? So we've got our different colors here. I'm also going to grab my brushes from my 6-piece art brush kit, and I'm going to use my ombre brush, and I'm going to use that small little oval brush. So you guys, I always keep my brushes, my art brushes, in the little plastic container, so it keeps them a little bit safer, keeps them from getting bumped or, you know, kind of misshapen or anything. So these are the two brushes I'm going to be using. And I'm also going to grab my little mixing tile here just in case I need to use that to clean out my brush. Now, at this point, my free edge has started to set. Because I was working with the core product, it's still a little bit soft. The core products do set a little bit slower, so it's a little soft. I can still come in there and maybe pinch a little bit of a tighter C curve. It's not completely set yet, and that's okay. But I did want to let it set to where it's not soft, it's not sticky, it's not wet anymore, because I want to have a dry surface to where I can apply my cream clays. So I'm going to just set these out in the order that I'm going to use them. Whoops. Yeah, maybe we'll go this way. So we got those two, and then I'm going to go to my blue, my teal, and my green. Okay, here we go. This is what we're going to do for our design. And actually, you know what? I'm going to add in one more thing that I forgot to show you guys. This is our Mylar ribbon. Okay, so we're going to use our Mylar ribbon, and I will get to that in just a little bit. But let's go ahead and add on our colors. So I'm going to take my small little oval brush, and I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that color, and I'm just going to kind of draw that up the side, and then we're going to blend these colors together. So that came off a little bit onto the edge. That's okay. You guys see okay? Let me come in a little bit different angle for you here. See if you can get a little bit better view there. Okay, I think that might be a little bit better. So I'm going to just grab just a little bit more of that orangey peachy color, and then we'll grab a little bit of that pink. And you guys, you could do this over a clear acrylic, but I actually like how the white, core white sparkle, how that's got a little bit of a shimmer to it. And the colors that I'm using are a little bit sheer. So if I didn't have that white underneath, it would be a little bit more of a sheer look. But by having that core white sparkle underneath there, it's gonna make my colors pop out a little bit more, and it's gonna be a little bit more solid in the color. So you can change it up. You can do, you know, designs however you want to do them. Again, you guys, I just like to give you some inspiration and show you some ideas that work for me. So I'm just, again, kind of bringing these colors together. I'm not worrying too much about trying to blend them perfectly at this point. We're going to get to that in just a little bit here. But I'm just, again, kind of blending up all of those different colors together. And get a little bit of that bright green on the edge. Okay, so I'm liking my colors so far. I'm going to switch my brush to my Ombre brush. And let me scooch the colors out of the way here. There we go. Now you can really see. So I'm going to use my Ombre brush. I want to make sure that's nice and clean so that I get that actual ombre. And then I'm just going to kind of pull that brush through those colors, kind of blending them together and softening those colors together. So just kind of blending them. You can pull backwards, you can pull forwards, whichever way is going to give you a better blend. But what I want to make sure I'm doing is I'm not pulling that color too far back. This is about where I want it to stop. I don't want my color going all the way back because we're going to apply our cover cherry blossom over the top of this, and that's going to kind of blend in with that cherry blossom, with that acrylic powder. So we're just going to blend this back. And if I bring my colors too far back, I'm going to start to see it underneath the cover cherry blossom. So again, just kind of blending them back about this far. And I'm just kind of tapping out that edge to, again, get that to kind of blend and fade out a little bit more towards that back. Okay? What do you guys think so far? Are you liking the rainbow colors? I see a couple of rainbows in the chat there. I love that. What do you guys think? Are you liking this? Are you liking the colors? Or tell me this. Tell me which is your favorite color of these. I want to know what you guys like on these. So while you are doing that, whoops. No, we're okay. Thought I bumped the nail here. Maybe I did, but we'll just touch that up. Okay. I'm going to get those colors out of the way. So next thing I'm going to do, you guys, I'm not going to cure this one just yet. I'm going to just set this off to the side here. And before we cure it, we're going to add in some of our Mylar ribbon. And the Mylar ribbon is just what it says. It's kind of a ribbon of Mylar paper. And sometimes, I'm going to show you a trick that I was just talking with somebody else about to help you guys work with the Mylar ribbon. A lot of times what I will do is it gets a little staticky. So it kind of feels like it's staticky. It'll stick to everything. So what I like to do is I'll take one of the lint-free wipes, and I've just got a little spray bottle with water here. I'm just going to spray a little bit of water, or you could get your lint-free wipe wet at the sink or anything like that. But I just put a little bit of water on there, and you can either leave that on your table, and you can kind of run those pieces of the ribbon across that if they feel like they're too staticky. Having that little bit of moisture is going to keep that static cling to a minimum, okay? Or you can just take that little wipe and just kind of gently fold it over and just kind of wipe through, and again, that's going to get rid of some of that static cling. So what I've got on the end here, I've already pre-cut these. Yeah, let me see if I can find my other scissors here. All right, hang on a second, guys. Oh, there they are. Okay, so I already went through and kind of pre-cut these, so I'm just going to snip those off the end. But I'm going to show you exactly what I did here. So I'm going to set those down because those are ready to go. So all I did was I took my little piece of Mylar, took my scissors, and just kind of snipped all the way through so I could get a few of those long pieces. You can cut this into whatever shape you want, whatever length you want, however you want to work with them. And then again with these, just kind of snip them off the end like that. Okay, so now I've got a bunch of those little kind of slivers of our ribbon to work with. Let me set these off to the side. And I'm going to come back to our nail here. I want to make sure all of these little pieces get separated. There we go. And sometimes, you guys, it might help if you have our tweezer. And this is the tweezer that, I believe this comes in the Fruit Cocktail Charm Kit, but I absolutely love this because it's got a super, super tiny point to that end of the tweezer. So it makes it really, really easy to work with the Mylar ribbon. And kind of pull those apart or pick them up or just kind of piece them together. So what I'm going to do, you guys, we haven't cured this color yet. So this gel is still wet. So I'm just going to take those little tiny pieces of my Mylar. I'll pick those up. And I'm just going to start to set those down into that wet gel. So just kind of set them down in there, kind of tap down in. And again, you guys, you can place your colors and your ribbons however you want to. If you want bigger pieces or smaller pieces, pick those up and just set them down into that wet gel, and then they're going to grab onto that gel. So just kind of tapping them down. Grab another one here. Set that down. And again, just kind of set it down, press it down into that gel. Once we've got our little Mylar ribbons on, I'm going to set this into our light, and we're going to freeze this gel into place. Now I want to make sure to kind of take a look from the side, make sure that there's nothing poking up or nothing bubbling. I want to make sure that it's really down into that gel so that there's no pockets underneath there or anything like that, okay? But do you see how that Mylar ribbon is really reflecting light? See, as I kind of tilt the nail, you can see all those different reflections. I absolutely love this look. I feel like it's beautiful. It really just kind of accentuates your colors and just gives you a really good pop of color. Okay, I'm going to stop messing around with those. Those are good. So we're going to go into our light. We're going to cure this into place. And I'm just going to set that in there for about 30 seconds or so. That's going to just give me a little bit of time to close up some containers and move some things out of the way so that I don't spill things. Because you guys, if you know me, I tend to spill things. So I try to always clean up as I'm working, clean up as I go, so that way I've got a nice even surface to work on. Okay. And you guys, this is also going to give you a quick chance to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So we would love if you do that. We appreciate any of you that subscribe to our channel. It's just a way for us to be able to offer you even more free education. The more we have, the more subscribers we have, the more education we can give. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Okay, so I know that my acrylic is set underneath, so I'm just going to take my form off just to kind of get that out of the way. And then we can go ahead and finish up the rest of our nail. Now what I'm going to do is kind of an ombre over this glitter, or over this color. So I'm going to work with my covered cherry blossom. We'll get that open. And still got my monomer here. So I'm going to pick up a nice pearl of my covered cherry blossom, and we're going to set that down from cuticle to about right here where it starts, where that color starts fading out, okay? And we're going to have that cherry blossom just kind of fade into our color. So I'm going to just tap my brush off. We're going to pick up 1, 2, oh, you guys, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing there. There we go. So again, tap my brush. I'm going to press down. I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. I'm going to wait just a few seconds to kind of let that product set just a little bit. I'm going to turn my brush over, set that down, and then I'm going to press out that cuticle area, and I'm going to start to angle that nail downward. This way my product is going to run and flow down kind of the length of the nail rather than into the sides. Now I don't want it to flow completely, so I'm kind of adjusting as I see that product moving. Once it gets to where I want it, I'm going to lift up and I'm going to just blend out the edge of that pearl. So I'm not pulling that color all the way over my my rainbow colors here. I'm not pulling that cover cherry blossom all the way over. I'm just getting that to kind of blend out. Okay, so come in a little closer so you can see it's just kind of faded out right through here. And that's the purpose of our design here, is to have that ombre. So ombres don't always have to be pink and white. They can be all kinds of different colors. They can be whatever you want to create. But now we're going to come back with our Speed Clear. And this is where we're going to cap the rest of that free edge. Let me come back out. And I'm just going to pick up a pearl of our Speed Clear. And 1, 2, 3, 4. This one I'm going to just touch down to my towel, just kind of drain out a little bit of that extra liquid. I turn my brush back around and I'm going to blend that product back up over my pink. So that covered cherry blossom, I'm just going to blend that right up into that product. So this way it's going to seal that blend. It's going to seal that ombre. And then we're also going to start to pull that product down the length of the nail. And this is how we're going to cap this design. Okay, so just kind of pulling that forward. And I've got a little bit more space right down here on my free edge that I don't have product on yet. So I'm going to grab another smaller pearl. And same thing, just kind of drain out just a little bit of that liquid. I turn my brush around, set that down, blend that pearl back. The reason that I'm blending back is because I want more of the bulk of my product to come up towards that arch rather than down to my free edge. So now I can turn my brush back around, kind of press out that free edge a little bit, get that nice and thin, nice and tapered, and then again, I'm going to just blend that back up to my arch, making sure that I've got good structure. We'll take a look at it from the side, kind of press some of that out. I feel like I need just a little bit more product right through here to even out that, that arch. So we'll pick up just a tiny little pearl, drain out just a little bit. Again, drop that right down where that low spot is, and I'm going to press that out from side to side. All right, kind of blend that out and then blend that down into my free edge. Okay, let's see, somebody's asking, what is the name of this product? You guys, everything that I'm using here today is by Young Nails. You can get all of our products at youngnails.com. We've got all of the colors that I'm using, all of the acrylics, the brush, the table towels, everything is all Young Nails. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and close up all of our products. We're going to clean up things a little bit. Somebody says draining doesn't do anything. So you guys, I'm assuming this person is talking about draining the pearl. Let me show you the reason that I do drain out that pearl. Let me grab a form here really quick. So it really does make a difference draining out that little bit of liquid from your pearl to help you kind of control the consistency of it. So let me just pinch that here. Now, let me grab our covered cherry blossom. So when you pick up a pearl, so I'm going to go into my liquid, I'm going to tap out my brush, I'm going to press my brush down into my product, and if I take that pearl and I just go right onto my nail or right onto the form, either way, do you see how quickly that product starts to move and how it runs? Okay, that was without draining any of that liquid out of the pearl. Okay, it's going to move, it's going to flow, you're not really going to have a whole lot of control over it. You're going to probably kind of have to do a lot of chasing of your product, chasing it all the way over here, it ran all the way over here. And a lot of times, especially when you're working with that pearl that wet, it's going to kind of gunk up your brush. Okay, so when you're working on the free edge, let me grab another form. When you're working on the free edge especially, I like to drain out that extra liquid from my brush because this is going to help to give my product a little bit more of a clay-like feel. So it's a little bit thicker. So again, let me grab, same thing. I'm going to press my brush into my powder, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to drain out that extra liquid. And then I'm going to set that down onto my form. Now I'm going to give it a good press down, lift up. Now, you can see it's starting to move, but it's not instantly running. Here, I have a lot more control of that product. It's more of a clay feel, okay? It's gonna feel a little bit thicker like clay, so I've got a lot more control as to where I'm moving that product. It's not running all over the place, it's not getting out of control, and I can move that where I need to move it, Okay, so there is a reason, there is a method to the madness, you guys. I know that sometimes you think, oh, what are you guys doing? But there is a method to the madness. So when you're working, especially on that free edge area, and you want to have a little bit more control, you want to make sure that you're draining out that extra liquid. Now let me talk about when you're applying by the cuticle area. So let me, actually, you know what, here. I do have another nail over here. So when you are losing your fingers, when you're applying by that cuticle area, you actually want your product to be more on the wet side. You want it to be a little bit more or less like clay. So by the cuticle area, I'm not going to drain out that extra liquid. What happens if I drain out that extra liquid and then I try to set that down at my cuticle area, it's going to feel too firm. It's not going to run, it's not going to move. I'm going to really have to force that cuticle area down. And a lot of times what happens, because it's so thick and it's a little bit on the drier side, I get more of a ledge of my product right through there. Whereas on this one, if you can kind of see, it really flows a little bit more flush down to that natural nail. So by keeping our product wetter by the cuticle, drier on the free edge, you're going to get the proper positioning, the proper consistency, and the proper thickness. Now when you're placing by that cuticle area, 1, 2, 3, I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds. I'm not going to drain out the liquid. I'm just going to wait because I still want it to kind of flow where I want it to. But by just waiting those couple of seconds, it's going to flow, but I now have a little bit more control and I can really press out that cuticle area, and then I can angle that finger downward and it's going to move for me. Okay, it's not going to stay there in a big, thick, chunky mess. It's going to flow down the nail, and then I can just start to kind of guide that into place. Blend out that edge however I need to, and it's going to go much easier. Now, the other thing, when you're working up around that cuticle area, if you pick up that pearl and drain out that extra liquid, okay, let me show you here, drain out that extra liquid, and then we go to set that onto the nail. Because that product is a little bit more on the dry side, it's not going to get down and really weave into the kind of the little nooks and crannies of that natural nail. Okay, when you're working a little bit on the wetter side, that's where it's going to start to really bond to that natural nail. So if you're somebody who maybe has challenges with lifting around that cuticle area, go back and check. Because you guys, I used to do this when I first started doing nails because I didn't really understand that proper consistency by the cuticle is huge in keeping your product adhered. So again, if you pick up that pearl, because this is what I did, you guys, I would drain out that drain out that product, and I would try to put my product down there, and I would really have to force it down. It's not going to bond as well to that nail. I had a good application because I really worked that product, but because it was on the drier side, it wasn't bonding well. If you can pick up that same size pearl and then just give it a couple of seconds, okay? Just give it just a couple of seconds, then you set it down. That little bit of a wetter product is going to bond much better to that natural nail than that dry product will. Okay, so if you kind of check your consistency, keep it a little bit wetter around that cuticle, but still just wait just a few seconds before you apply it, you're going to have a much better bond and a lot less lifting. Okay, so give that technique a try if you're having those lifting issues and struggling with that. All right, is our nail set? Our nail is set. Let me take this little bit off here so I don't get all mushed up. I'm going to cover up my liquid and powder. You guys, anytime I go to do my filing, I always want to make sure that I've covered up my liquid and powder so that I don't get any dust into those or contaminate them or anything like that. Okay, let's set those off to the side. Throw away some of my trash here. And I am going to open up my dust collector. And we'll go ahead and file out this nail. All right, so I'm going to switch my sanding band that I was using before. I'm going to switch that over to my X-Cut carbide. I'm going to leave that out a little bit because I've got a longer nail and I want to leave a little bit of length to that bit so that I can file through that whole nail. I'm going to turn my speed up to about 15,000 RPMs because I'm working with acrylic today. And let's come in here a little bit closer maybe. There we go. I'm going to start by just filing straight down my sidewall. So just kind of pulling that bit straight towards myself here. I'm going to come across, and for this area, you guys, I'm using more of the center of the bit, so more of right here on the bit. I'm just going to start on my left side and just pull straight across to really kind of shorten up that nail if I need to, or straighten out that free edge. Okay, so we're doing kind of a tapered square today. I'm going to just push back on my sides here, just straightening out those edges. Okay, I'm going to turn that nail on the side, and we're going to just start by cleaning up that lower arch just a little bit. I don't have a whole lot hanging down, but if I do, I can just use that bit just to kind of take a little bit of that right down. Okay? Same thing on the other side. So this side, you can see I've got a little bit more product hanging down. So let me show you here real quick. What I want to happen is I want my nail and that extension to come straight out from that natural nail right here. So anything that's hanging below that is what I want to file off. So all of this stuff that's hanging down here, that's all what I need to file off. Okay, so anything below my file. So all of that down there. So let me just come back here. And on this side, so on my right side, I was pushing in. On my left side, we'll turn this over, I'm going to pull away. So you guys, you always want to make sure that you're filing opposite the rotation of the bit. So you want to get a little bit of, I don't want to say friction, but kind of friction. Resistance. I'll say resistance. That's going to be a better word. So if I were to push up on this side, my bit's just going to fly up because it's going in the same way that the bit is rotating. If I pull down, it's going to give a little bit of resistance on that edge, and it's going to be able to file that edge. Okay? All right, so we've got our sides, we've got our free edge. Let's come around that cuticle area, and I'm just going to thin out and just kind of bevel out that cuticle area so it's nice and flush down to that natural nail so that we don't have a big ledge in the back area. Okay? So just kind of tapering down that cuticle area, kind of around those sides here a little bit. And then I'm going to look from, let me readjust here. So I'm going to look from the side view. So I'm going to work from this direction. At this point, I'm not filing all the way across this nail. I'm going to basically start, let me readjust here. So I'm going to start basically from the center and work over, okay? If I were to start all the way over here and come across, what can happen, let me show you from this view. So again, I'm working from that center over. If I were to come all the way across from here, do you see how my bit just kind of disappears behind that nail? I can't see where the bottom part of my bit is. What tends to happen from this position is you tend to lose control, and that bit is going to wrap around. So it's going to kind of catch and then wrap around. So make sure that you can always see the bottom part. So this part of your bit right down here, you always want to make sure that you're able to see that and it's not slipping behind that, that product. So we're going to come all the way down to the free edge, thinning and tapering, bringing that arch into place. And you guys, I'm actually going to move my bit out just a little bit. As I'm filing, what's happening is you can kind of see right there, see how this part of my handpiece is kind of bumping into that acrylic. I can't make proper contact with my bit how I want it. So I'm going to move this bit out just a little bit more there. So now as I'm filing from that side, this part of my handpiece is not going to bump into that acrylic. Okay, so again, just kind of flowing right down the arch, all the way through, down the end. And so at this point, I can see exactly how my arch is going to look, okay? What I'm going to do next is look straight down the barrel. I've already cut right through here. That's the thickness that I want. Now I'm going to take down bulk from the sides here, just by pulling my bit towards myself and thinning and tapering those sides, taking down the bulk on those sides. Same thing on this side, pulling forward, just tapering in that bulk. Okay, I think we're looking pretty good. And I've got a little bit of thickness more on this side. You can see underneath in that lower arch. I'm going to come in, let me turn this on the side so you can see. I'm going to come at a slight angle, and I'm just going to press up. So that's going to kind of taper in that edge a little bit more. So now you can see it's going to be a little bit more even underneath that C curve. Okay. I'm going to switch over to my sanding band. Now this is an optional step, but I like to do it because I feel like using this band is going to really help me to get a good contour and really good around those sides. So if you're not quite comfortable filing around your sides and the edges, this is a great technique to use. So I turn my speed to about 7,000 RPMs. I'm able to come all the way up around the cuticle, all the way down that side to really get that product to taper and be flush down to that natural nail. And then we'll just kind of flow through those same techniques that we were doing before, all the way down the arch of the nail, just kind of contouring and perfecting. Now you could just go right to your hand file and do all of this by hand, but for me it's a little bit easier. And if I can do anything with my e-file versus my hand file, I'm always going to choose my e-file, because my e-file is going to be easier on my hands, on my wrists, on my arms, on my shoulders. It's much easier to be filing with the e-file than it is by hand. Okay. Now, at this point, I will go back through. I'm going to grab my hand file, got my 150 grit file, and I will come through and do all of my perfecting and final shaping with my hand file. So straightening out my sidewalls nice and evenly, cleaning up those edges. I'm going to straighten out my free edge. And you guys notice I wasn't filing perfectly straight. You see there's kind of like a little open triangle right down here. See that little triangle right in that space there? I'm not filing straight here because I am doing just a slightly tapered square. Okay, we're not quite at a coffin shape, but just a slightly tapered square. And that's going to be a factor because, you guys, I'm going to take you through my pricing, what I would price this nail at, and I want you guys to notice the difference between a square nail and a tapered square. Okay, so just a slight difference just on those edges. I'm going to turn my client's hand on the side, clean up that lower arch so that, again, that nail is coming straight out from that natural nail. So the extension is coming straight out from the natural nail. You guys, a lot of times people get tempted to come back here. Let me see if I can come in a little bit more. We've got a little bit of product hanging right through here. So a lot of times people get really tempted to position their file right up here and file back into that corner. Okay, that is a no-no. What we want to do instead is we actually want to put our file down here at the free edge, not back here in the corner, but down here at the free edge, and we're going to file until this part, so this free edge up here, becomes, it kind of moves up and even with that product that's coming straight out. So you can see that as I'm filing up, and now it's coming straight out from that natural nail. Let me dust this off a little bit so you can see a little bit better. There we go. So that last little bit just coming nice and straight out from that natural nail. Okay. I'm going to come up around that cuticle, thinning and tapering up around the cuticle area, down my sides, and really just kind of contouring this. So as we filed our edges, we kind of filed straight here. Now we want to round out those edges so that we don't have kind of a corner there. We have more of a rounded surface. Okay, so just coming up around those sides, contouring those sides. Same thing on the other side, thinning and tapering around the edge, and then contouring around that edge. And I'm going to turn this nail. I tend to look kind of from the side view, and this is how I see if I need to take down any more bulk from here. So I'm just going to kind of taper that free edge just a little bit more, thin that out a little bit more, and I think we're good from that view. Now, at this point, this is where I turn my client's hand around so that I can see exactly what she's going to see of her nail. So I want to make sure to look from this view to see if my nail is straight, if everything is even. Clean up my edges just a little bit. Again, getting that kind of tapered square straighten out my free edge if I need to. And then I'm going to look backwards down the barrel of this nail. So just like this. You guys, you can see right through here, if I kind of adjust that, right through here I've got a little bit of an uneven area. So I want to make sure that I'm really getting all of those high spots and low spots. And again, looking from this view is going to give you a whole different perspective than looking straight down the barrel. So always make sure that you're checking your nails from all the different views so that you can see and make sure that you get all those last little lumps and bumps, high spots, low spots, anything like that that you don't want to miss. Okay, and I think we are good with our shaping. And those of you that are with us, have you hit that subscribe button? If you haven't, make sure you do that. Don't worry, we're not done yet. Okay, I'm not going anywhere just yet. I've still got a little bit of teaching for you guys here. But I just want to make sure you guys all hit that subscribe button before we jump into our next process. All right, so at this point, you guys, I'm going to finish the nail. So those of you that have been with us for a while, you know what time it is. It is time for the top coat chant. And then we're going to talk about pricing on this nail. So go ahead and start the top coat chant in the chat. If you're new to us, you'll see what to do. Keep an eye on that chant. Or keep an eye on the chat and they'll chant. All right, you guys, I'm going to come back with a little bit more of our swipe, just like I did before. Pump a little bit of that onto my brush. Cleanse that whole surface. Just want to touch up that free edge one last time. There was a little bit of an unevenness. Okay, so we're going to cleanse that surface off. I'm going to come back to another coat of my protein bond, just to make sure that we've got really good adhesion for that top coat onto our nail. And we'll just come all the way through from cuticle to free edge. You guys, even with that protein bond, you can see just that glow of that Mylar in there. Isn't that gorgeous? All right. Oh, somebody says it looks like opal. It's your birthstone. Well, happy birthday. I don't know what month that is, but happy birthday to the opal people. So I'm going to finish the nail with Ultimate Finish top coat. You guys, you can use whatever top coat you prefer. Ultimate Finish tends to be the easiest top coat because it's a tack-free top coat. And so you don't have to do any wiping or cleansing once this is cured. So after 60 seconds in the light, it is going to be completely cured out and you won't have to do any other cleansing or anything like that after. So let's get this into the light. And then let's talk, you guys, let's talk about pricing. And I want to see in the chat, I want to see some of your estimates. How much do you think a full set, including, let's say 2 nails like this. So 2 nails like we just did, okay? I want to see what your price estimate would be for a full set doing 2 nails, two design nails like that. Let me see in the chat. What do you guys think? What would be your price estimate? Because I'm going to break this down as to how I would price this out. So I'm going to grab my tablet here. All right, 75, 85, 75, 130. 4 shilling Sam. I'm not exactly sure how that would translate to US dollars, but we'll talk. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of different kind of variations in pricing. Okay, everything from 75 up to, what did I see, 105, 120, 120, 145. Okay, you guys, that is awesome. I'd love to see kind of where you guys are, where you're at. So I'm going to break this down for you and show you how much I would charge for this, and then I'm going to tell you why I'm going to charge this. Okay, so let's start with my full set price. Let me see if I can get this a little better for you. All right, so my full set, I start my full sets at $100, okay? Now, I've been doing nails for about 25 years. I've paid my dues. I've put my practice in. Even if you're new, okay, for a full set, I personally wouldn't go any less than 75. In this day and age, you guys have to make money, okay? And if you're charging any less than 75, even $80, $80 is a good set price, okay? But if you're charging any less than 75, you're not going to be making money, All right, so make sure you guys charge for the products, charge for everything, and we'll talk about, you know, a little bit more in depth afterwards here, but let's go with that. So my full set, that is my base price for a full set. That means for an active length and a square nail. Okay. Sorry, you guys, disregard my spelling and my printing. It doesn't always turn out the best, okay? But for an active set of square nails, that's gonna be $100. Now, I'm gonna add on for all of the different things that I've done on this nail, okay? On this nail, let me show you here real quick. All right, you're gonna get the, you know, the preview here. So this nail to me is not a short active length, okay? To me, a short active length would be probably to about here, okay? So if I were doing an active length square nail, this is my $100 set of nails right there, okay? Now, what I did, I would probably consider this, so that would be an active length. I would say this would be about a medium length. This is gonna be a long nail, okay? Anything longer, actually let me grab one of my forms here. Anything longer than a blue form, to me, is an XL nail. So if we were to take our forms here, and get this up underneath there. Okay, so this one is coming almost to the end of my form. So this one I would definitely consider as a long nail. Anything longer than this form, if I had to build length onto one of our XL forms, that would definitely be an extra long nail and then some, depending on the nail that I'm creating, okay? So I am gonna charge extra for my length. So if I'm gonna do, if I'm gonna do a medium, I'm gonna add on $10, okay? If I'm gonna do a long, I'm gonna add on $20. If I'm gonna do an XL and beyond, I'm gonna add $30 and beyond, okay? Now, the reason for this, I know a lot of people say, well, why are you adding on price? You're not using a whole lot more. You're not doing a whole lot more. Actually, in the long run, I am. If I were doing full sets of nails that were this long all the time, I would go through one of these, well, what do I got? My 85-gram jar. I would go through one of these every so often, okay? But if I'm basically doing double the length, I'm gonna go through this twice as fast. Okay, so I'm going to have to replace my product twice as fast as if I were doing a shorter, more active length nail. Okay, so the longer your nail is, the more product you're going to go through, and actually the more work it is. So it's going to take you a little bit longer to do these longer extensions. So that's why you need to be adding on those extra charges. So for, again, a medium length, that would be maybe to about here. So I'm going to add $10 for that. Because we're doing a long nail, I'm going to add a $20 onto that. Okay. So let's talk our art. Okay, so this was our length, this was our full set. Now, actually, before I talk about art, a lot of times I will charge additional for custom shaping. Let me write that down. And apparently, you guys, I can't talk and write at the same time, so I apologize for that. But custom shaping, depending on what I'm doing, this would be maybe like a stiletto or a coffin. Oops, or anything outside of that standard square. Now, today we did a tapered square. For me, a tapered square, I'm going to charge the same as I would charge for a regular straight square, okay? It's not a whole lot of extra work. It's just taking in those edges just a little bit. Now, if I were doing a coffin shape and that was really coming in on those sides and really bringing that taper in almost to a point, but just kind of taking that point off, that is a little bit more work. So that's going to, again, be a custom shape, okay? So for custom shaping, I tend to do $10 to $20 additional, but for today, I'm not going to do that because we just did a tapered square. So again, that for me, that is about the same as a square nail, okay? Now, let's talk our art. So on this nail, we have an ombre, and we also have dimensional designs. So what I mean by dimensional is that our design is actually in the nail rather than on the nail. Okay, something on the nail is something that I'd be able to file off really quick and easy. Dimension is actually in the nail encapsulated with our acrylic. Okay, so if I'm doing an ombre, usually I will start my ombres at an additional $20. All right, let me write this down here, okay? And again, you guys, these are suggestions. These are possibilities of how to charge and what to charge. You take it for what it's worth, okay? So for our ombre, I'm going to add on an additional $20. Now this is going to be for the set, okay? Depending on how many nails, if I'm doing ombres on all of them, I may charge an additional, up to maybe an additional 40. Okay, because if I'm doing ombres on all 10 nails, that's going to be a little bit more time. Again, it's going to be different product, so kind of keep that in mind. We're going to kind of consider this as we're doing the ombre on our design nails. Okay, so we've got an additional 20 that I'm going to do. Let's see, we're doing an additional 20 on our length. Okay, so now let's talk about that dimension. So that design in the nail. Okay, for my dimensions start at $10 per nail. Okay, so if I'm going to do a design in the nail, I'm going to charge an additional $10 per nail, and I include one color. Okay, you can't do a dimension without color, so, or glitter or whatever you're adding in. So I include one color in that. Okay, any additional colors or glitters or Mylars or anything else that you're adding in, I charge $5. I'm going to say $5 each, okay, for each additional color, glitter, Mylar, whatever else you're adding in, okay? So those are all of the different things that I'm going to charge extra for. Let's total this up and see where we're at, okay? So let's start with, let me come out here a little bit. Okay, so we're going to total out. So we've got, starting with 100 for my full set, okay? I've got the extra length for our long nail is going to be 20. We didn't do any extra custom shaping, so I'm not going to charge for that today. I am going to charge for an ombre, so we're going to charge $20 because, again, we're just going to be doing that on her accent nails. And we're going to assume that she's got 2 accent nails today. But $20 for an ombre. And dimensions, okay? So again, for our accent nails, we've got 2 accent nails, so $10 each nail, so that's going to be $20 in dimensions. And then that's going to include all of our colors. So let me show you the colors here that we used. 1, 2, 3, 4. We used 5 colors, and we also used the Mylar ribbon, okay? Now, I told you guys that I include 1 color in my dimensions, so this one I'm adding in for free, but each of these other things is going to be an additional $5. So $5, $10, $15, $20, $25 addition to that dimension, okay? So another 25. All right. Did we get everything? Did we add in everything? I think we did. So what do we have here? 100, 20, 40, 60, 85. So we did 185 today. Okay, so 185 is going to be for our full set. We're going to assume that her accent nails, she's got 2 accent nails on the full set of 10, and then the rest are just going to be a solid color. So 185 for this set. Now, I know there's a lot of you guys out there thinking $185 for a set of nails. That is ridiculous. I would never pay that. And you know what? Maybe you won't, okay? But let me explain why we are charging what we are charging, okay? As nail techs, we love our jobs. We enjoy doing nails. We have a lot of fun with it, but this is what is paying our bills, okay? Let me show you the bills that we have to pay and where this money is going before it even goes into our pocket, okay? So I'm going to show you guys some expenses. All right, so first thing we have as a nail tech, as an independent nail tech, we have rent. And this is our salon rent. This isn't even our home. This isn't anything like that. This is all of the expenses before we even pay our own bills, okay? So this is all salon expenses. So we've got rent. We have to pay for products. EUCDS. We have to pay for our supplies. You guys, everything, all of our files, our towels, our table towels, our brushes, everything that we have, everything that we use, we have to pay for that, okay? We have to pay for our license. Okay, for me, I have to renew my license every year, so I have to pay a fee, or sorry, every 3 years. Mine is every 3 years. But I also have to do continuing ed classes. Continuing ed. So every 3 years, I also have to pay for education, okay, which is important. We need education. We need to continue to learn and to, learn different techniques and more modern techniques. So education is important. But my state does require that, so I don't have a choice in that, okay? I also have to have insurance, liability insurance, L-I-A-B-I-L-I-T-Y. Okay, as an independent nail tech, I have to pay for my own insurance at the salon. So if somebody got injured or, slip and fall, anything like that, I have insurance to cover that, okay? What about cleaning and laundry? Somebody has to wash all my towels at the end of the day, and most times it's me. And if it's not me, I'm paying somebody else to do it. But I still have to pay for laundry soap and for, the time if I need to go to the laundromat, or if my salon has a coin-operated washing machine, I still have to pay for cleaning and laundry. Cleaning products, like I said, laundry soap, disinfectants, all of that kind of stuff to clean all of my tools and my implements and all of that, okay? What about my own personal health insurance? Okay, if I'm not employed by anybody, nobody else is paying for my health insurance. I am required to pay for health insurance, okay? What about sick time or vacation? You guys, I want to take a vacation too. Everybody needs a day off every now and then. What if you have a sick child at home? What if you have to take a day off because you got the flu? You have to have that income still. Otherwise, if you're sick and you don't have that income, you're taking a day off without pay. Okay, that's an extremely hard thing to do. So we have to set aside that money for vacation time or sick time and things like that. What about credit cards? DIT. Credit card service fees. What about booking sites? Okay, somebody's got to pay for us to have a booking site where my clients can go and they can book their appointments. Okay, if I'm taking credit cards as payment, which is where most people are at these days, most people don't carry cash or carry checkbooks or things like that anymore. So I have to pay credit card service fees. Okay, what if I maybe in my salon I want to offer coffee or tea or water, just a beverage for my client? I have to pay for that. And you guys, here's the big thing. I always save this for the last, but taxes, because I still have to pay my taxes, okay? Just like everybody else. And if I'm an independent person, nobody else is withholding those taxes from a paycheck for me. So I have to make sure that I'm setting aside all of that money for my taxes, okay? So you guys, these are all of the expenses that I pay out before that $185 set of nails. That $185 doesn't go right into my pocket. A lot of that goes to all of these expenses, and then what's left over, then that can go into my pocket to pay my mortgage, to pay my car payment, to put food onto my table. So I know there's a lot of people out there thinking that this $185 is a crazy high price, but you guys, when you see all of these expenses nail techs have, this is where most of our money goes. We are still trying to make a living after paying for all of our business expenses, okay? So if you are a nail tech, please keep in mind charging for all of your services, charging for all of those additional add-on things. Even if you charge $1 extra for some things, it's still a little bit extra that's going to go to your expenses, okay? If you are somebody who does get your nails done, please don't argue with your nail tech when she says, I'm going to add on an extra $10 because you want longer nails today. Please don't argue when she says, I'm going to add on an extra $5 for your glitter today, okay? The nail tech has to provide all of this for you. And something to think about, you guys, this $185, nobody's forcing you to pay that. Nobody's forcing you to get nails. Nails are a luxury. They are not a necessity, okay? So if you're not able to keep these expenses of your nail tech in mind, then maybe you need to, maybe find a different design or something that's not going to have all those add-ons, and that is a little bit more budget friendly. But again, you guys remember, nails they're a luxury, they're not a necessity, and your nail tech, please be gracious with them, because they do have all of these other expenses before this money goes into their pocket. Okay, so I know it sounds like a lot of information, you guys. I really like to emphasize pricing with a lot of nail services, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication in the nail industry. So I like to talk about that. I know it gets some people riled up, and it brings out some questions and concerns, but this way, hopefully, I was able to break it down for you guys a little bit and make it a little bit more understandable. But let's take one final look at our nail here before we jump off for the weekend. And this is our beautiful ombre with our Mylar and our cream clays. Let me see if I can get a little closer. There you go. So hopefully you guys, this will inspire you to do some more fun summer nails. Summer's not over yet, so go enjoy the weather this weekend. If you're in New Zealand, Kim, enjoy your cold weather. Hopefully you're staying warm out there. But you guys, thank you so much for staying with me. Thank you for joining us on our YouTubes. And hopefully you guys will have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you back next week. Thanks, everybody.